What's up, guys? There's some more news brewing. Ariel the Stirrer. He stirs the MMA pot.
Talking to Brian Ortega, my man.
Oh, your man?
My man. Well, we come from the same raza, so what can I say? Yeah, so I won't say big news because Brian Ortega still has to have his knee all healed up.
Yeah.
But we thought it was something interesting that he was talking to Ariel Helwani that if the most likely Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski rematch happens,
he was sort of talking about where his place is going to be in the division, what he's going to have to do, who is Brian Ortega going to fight next.
And he talked about Zabit.
Which is really interesting because we just did a video matchmaking for the featherweight division, and we mentioned this matchup super briefly, but we didn't actually spend much time on it. And I think it's super. Anytime you start hearing names come out of a UFC fighter's mouth, that's a pretty good indicator of where the fight.
It's in the back of their mind and all that, and
usually I feel like it comes to fruition when it makes sense in the rankings, and it actually does make sense for both fighters. It makes sense for Brian Ortega because it would be a bounce-back fight against a highly ranked opponent still, who he might think is overranked, who we think is overranked, and we think, arguably, you think he was the second most overranked fighter in the UFC.
Yep.
And for Zabit, it's a great chance to just prove, get a win against a top 5 opponent.
His cardio is not as bad as Conor McGregor's.
Well, I think we know it's worse. Like,
Way worse.
It's substantially worse.
Worse without the power.
Well, it's also like Zabit might think Ortega is a little bit overrated too, because he went on a crazy win streak, but he looked very beatable. No, but the problem is Ortega in his win streak looked very beatable in most of the fights he won, except for against Frankie Edgar, right?
Yeah.
So I think that both of these guys are likely to size the other up and go, oh, this is like somebody who is ranked very highly that I think might have vulnerabilities.
And I don't think any of those two want to face Korean Zombie. So I do think that even though I would hate to see the rematch between Max and Volkanovski, I think that's probably the most likely because Max Holloway does have a lot of fan base, and
I don't think he does though. Like, that's the thing.
No?
I don't think Max Holloway has crazy clout or anything. Like,
I think the MMA community really likes him.
The MMA community really likes him, but that doesn't really mean much because it's really the casual viewers. Like, the MMA, if you look at the scales of pay-per-views and draws and stuff like that, it's the average. It's like the man on the street. The MMA community plays into it so little. I just don't know, man.
But then who fights? Again, we're gonna go back to. We're basically going back to our what the.
But Ortega.
Yeah.
He had a decision to make. Was he going to fight Zabit or drink a nice Modelo? And I think he's going to choose to fight Zabit, unfortunately, as great as the brand integration would be in the second option. I don't know, man. It's very interesting because the matchup is insane. Like, Ortega-Zabit would be a hell of a fight. It would be a lot of fun. And I see avenues to victory for both guys. I think sure.
I actually favor Zabit.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do think if we're going to match up overranked guys versus overranked guys, I think Zabit has the raw talent to beat Ortega.
Yeah.
Just the cardio is the issue.
This is what I think. It's the big elephant in the room is, will this be a 3-round fight or a 5-round fight, right?
It has to be a 5-round fight.
It doesn't, but it doesn't have to be a 5-round fight because it might be a co-main event, or even it might be the third fight, the co-main event on like a really good pay-per-view card or something. And if it's a 3-round fight, that really would favor Zabit. And I think that, like, if I'm Zabit's manager, I'm like, hell yeah, Ortega called you out. Take that fight. We'll get you on a pay-per-view card so no one can even criticize you for having 3 rounds. That's how we get you a title shot. And that's probably...
That makes it much, much easier for Zabit to win. And that sets up, I hate to say it, it sets up Zabit for a title shot after the Max Holloway versus
Volkanovski rematch. Unless Zombie gets another awesome finish. But I think a 5-round fight, that's where it becomes super interesting to me. Because of Ortega's ungodly durability. And this is a big question. Will he still have that durability after the beating Holloway put on him?
I think so.
If he does, right, if he has that durability and he's able to take Zabit to the 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, Ortega is such an opportunistic finisher, both on the ground and standing up, and I would argue is actually the best submission artist standing in the UFC. His snap down game is revolutionary in my opinion. And if you're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, crazy, you should really be looking at how Brian Ortega sets up his submissions from standing. He uses his boxing and his submission game so well back and forth. And his cardio is ludicrous.
Is great.
Durability is off the wall. So it's almost like each guy kind of presents the other's kryptonite.
Right.
Zabit, rangy, volume striker, like unorthodox.
That's the thing, though. The volume striking is so bad against Ortega.
Yeah.
And that's what... But, again, if it's a 3-round fight, I think it's on a lockdown for Zabit.
Even then, if Zabit gasses like he did against Cater...
Oh, he could get submitted.
In the 3rd round, Ortega, like... That's why I'm saying, this is such an intriguing matchup. I'm surprised we didn't actually talk it through more.
Yeah.
I would love to see this fight. Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like it kind of leaves Yair and Korean Zombie hanging.
Yeah. And I would hate for them to fight again.
Right now.
Yes.
Right now. I don't want to see them fight again right now. I would like that in a year, 2 years, or maybe for the title if that were to happen. But I am hype about I don't want the rematch though. That's the problem. That's the piece of the puzzle here, and I don't think you don't want it either.
I don't want it.
I haven't talked to anybody who wants it. Even the forums seem, I'd say, like 65% to 70% of people don't want it.
It would be really great if Korean Zombie did get that title shot.
That would be so.
That would be awesome.
If that happened and the Ortega Zabit fight happened,
I'd be happy.
That would be the featherweight division. Oh, Holloway Yair.
Oh man.
Oh man.
That would be crazy.
So that sets up a lot of interesting things. We just thought it would be really cool since Ortega did call out Zabit specifically. Yep. And there's sort of the factors behind the scenes that I think both of them will want to take this fight. Because I think they'll both view it as like medium risk, high reward.
Yep.
And relative to like their standings in the division, this is like, oh, if we win this, title shot.
Zabit's 3rd right now. He's over Korean Zombie.
Yeah.
So that's a travesty. Yeah, I mean.
And think about this too. Ortega probably is like, oh, there's a new champ.
Yeah.
If I get a good highlight reel finish, and I do think like if Ortega's gonna win against Zabit, I think he could get a beautiful finish. A beautiful finish.
Yeah.
Like
Ortega's fights are never boring.
They're never boring, sure. And if he has a great performance, a great fight, boom, Volkanovski, let's go. Now, would I favor him against Volk?
No.
Probably not, but it's Ortega, so you never know, like, he might pull some crazy thing out of his ass with some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu wizardry. Like,
because Brian Ortega is kind of like Deontay Wilder, except in submissions.
Yeah, it really is. And that's the weirdest part, too, when he knocked out Frankie Edgar. I just remember that was like this is not how a Brian Ortega fight is supposed to go. What is happening here? I'm super curious how City Kickboxing would game plan for him. So if Brian Ortega, or even Brian Ortega Korean Zombie, that's a great fight too. If Korean Zombie got the shot, the only fight I don't want to see with Brian Ortega is against Holloway again.
Yeah,
I don't want to see that fight ever again. Yeah. Ever again. Nope. So I feel like if anybody wants there not to be an immediate rematch, Ortega's like tweeting Dana White like, Dana, no, it wasn't close. Dana, this sets a dangerous precedent. Like, you don't want to give these immediate rematches. I don't know why I gave Ortega like that weird accent.
Hey, ¿qué pasó, güey? Yeah, that's what Ortega's gonna do.
Brian Ortega was given a choice. But I think this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Out of everything we talked about, Ortega's a beat. Is going to happen.
I don't want it to happen. I want Yair Rodriguez versus fucking Ortega.
Hey, you should be happy. Either way, you're gonna have your Mexican dude fighting your least favorite fighter, probably in the UFC. Is that a stretch?
No. Calvillo's.
Oh.
I fucking hate Calvillo.
Okay, well, your top 5 pound for pound.
Yeah, absolutely.
Top 5 pound for pound least favorite fighters. You still get your Mexican dude to go.
I put on my sombrero, my serape, and here we go.
You're gonna look just like Tyson Fury.
Heck yeah.
That being said, guys, if we're wrong, tell us down below. If you don't think they're gonna fight, tell us why. If the fight is made, come back here and please give us a lot of fellatio in the comments, cause it makes sense and we saw it coming. I'm Wesley.
I'm Alex.
This is the Pound for Pound best MMA channel in the game. Fight Companion. Subscribe for more awesome MMA related content. So, bye.